Good evening, welcome to the 212th Men Cricket Podcast, joined by myself, Rob Taylor, and my good pal George Bottomley. How are you?
Good. We've had a bit of a nightmare, haven't we?
Yeah.
Traffic, technical difficulties. It's going to be I think it's going to be a short podcast with your commitments for the Wanderers.
We're exposed by our technological levels for this podcast, but we're here. We've made it. Much has passed since our last podcast. England have lost the last test. It's 1-1 in the series. I've turned 30. Anything good happened to you?
No, not that I'm aware of. No. But yeah, congratulations into your fourth decade of life.
Yeah, it's hot on your heels, I believe. The 3-0, isn't it? When are we celebrating that?
Pretty much a month to the day, isn't it? So yeah, I've got 1 month left of my 20s.
How do you feel? Ready for it, aren't you?
Yeah, it is what it is, isn't it?
Yeah, I keep saying to people, asking me how does it feel to be 30. And I look back on people who are like 21, 22, and I feel a great distance.
Yeah.
Between them and me.
Yeah.
In so many walks of life.
Yeah. It
could be dress sense. It could be attitudes towards things. It could be actually cricket taste.
Yeah.
You know, I sit next to a lad who was born in India, lives in Britain, and Test cricket's an afterthought to him. He's engulfed into the IPL.
Yeah.
So we're going to cover a few things today. We're going to talk about the last test. We're going to cover the recent second coming of the SA20. We've got the next test. We've got a bit of any other bits, haven't we? We're going to try and not get too engulfed in all things England matters. So shall we give it a start?
Let's jump in. What do you want to talk about first?
Well, I think we should divulge into the recent test match.
Yeah.
It's now 1-0.
Yeah.
We both watched that.
As expected.
Yeah. You know what frustrates me about this? I kind of looked at the second inning, well, England's first innings when they were batting, when they were chasing down India's total. Great, double 100 by the Indian over Jaiswal.
Yeah.
But England got to a stage when I woke up, when I came down to watch it, which was about 6:30, 7 o'clock. Yeah. Crawley and Duckett were looking good. Yeah. And the momentum shifted when Crawley got out.
Yeah.
He placed some Zach Crawley of old shot, regulation catch, and then we were pretty much rattled from there. But I have to say, it was pretty much the Bumrah show, that test match. We've had to pin myself on it. Put away, obviously, the good scores from batsmen. I think the difference in that test was the class of Bumrah.
He has an average of 20 now, I think.
Oh.
I think he has the second lowest average of a pacer with over 150 wickets in tests.
Yeah.
So a proper, in the direction to be India's best ever, if not one of the all-time greats.
The ball that gets Ollie Pope is generally one of the best balls I've seen. Yeah. This ball, the century stuff, gets tossed about a lot, doesn't it? Every time there's an off stump comes out the ground, everyone claims, delivery of the decade. But I looked at that about 10 times on a replay, and I generally think that's unplayable.
Yeah, he has Root on toast as well. Root doesn't like Bumrah at all, does he? And yeah.
It's my missus Abby is new to cricket, and I'm trying to slowly drip feed that rounders cricket kind of comparison into the sport to help her understand. And it's the unusual nature of Bumrah and his run up and his action and his tendencies. It's very difficult to explain, but it makes him so unique we've not actually seen anyone like him before.
Yeah.
And I think that's actually going to improve his legacy as time goes on. And you look back on the plethora of quick bowlers that me and you grew up in a rife era of fast bowlers, didn't we? Maybe just a little bit, coming out of when we first got into cricket, we were looking back on an immediate sort of bowler dominated kind of era in some ways. To obviously what we see now, and India coming to the party with seam bowlers and Bumrah very much being the heartbeat of that.
Yeah, it very much feels that way. And I suppose after the last test, I'd say that after the first test, I was very much kind of the opinion we need to strike while the iron's hot. Kohli's wasn't there for the second test.
He's not going to be here for the whole series.
Exactly. I think that changed it, because when we were watching the second test, it felt very much like a missed opportunity at the time. You had India on the ropes, potentially rattled from the first test. Big names missing.
Yeah.
And it felt like we really needed to take advantage of that. Crawley's shot probably let India back into the series. However, although Crawley's shot kind of opened the door for India to kind of walk through, there's not many bowlers like Bumrah that can kind of smash through a team and really decimate.
And even after that Crawley dismissal, I still look at it and still think, this is the way we play in India. I'm not looking towards the next test matches in grimace thinking this is going to get ugly.
Yeah.
I generally think we're at the table. You know, we've lost an opportunity to really put our foot on the throat of the series. But I look at it, players like Crawley, they don't look particularly phased like opening batsmen of past in England have done. I do believe his approach is England's best chance of winning.
I'd agree. It seems from the
Duckett looks good, doesn't he?
He does. I'd like him to go on and get a big score. It seems from the trend of the series so far, you need one of your batsmen to get in and stay in, because otherwise you don't really post a score. There's not many wickets that there's not many batsmen that are kind of making 60s, 70s. It's either you make 20 and out, or you need to go on and make 150 if you get in and capitalise. So I think there'll be good lessons learned. They've obviously gone away to Abu Dhabi, I think, at the moment, kind of for
seems like a golf trip, more or less.
Yeah,
that's kind of, there's the classic sort of go-to angry sort of Twitter vent is that they're not getting warm-up games, but the regime of Brendan McCullum and Ben Stokes, I think, is wrapped around that, getting your comfort zone, get your peace of mind sorted. I think the cricket's learned a lot from the COVID days, hasn't it? Where people were imprisoned almost in these, obviously regulated environments. And I think now, given the schedule a lot of these players have, there's an argument to say that, taking a break from cricket and actually allowing time to, relax, spend time with your family is the best sort of way to manage these heavy tours. You know what I mean?
And I think Dravid said that India were going on holiday. So you just mirror in what the home side are doing. They're not going to be doing loads of training. You've done your training before. You're having a bit of a break. It seems relatively sensible. And
it's what you're going to learn as well. Like, you're not going to get clones of Jasprit Bumrah in, first-class Indian cricket systems or wherever. You arrange to play against. You kind of have, you know what you're up against now. You're 2 tests in. You've got to look to rectify your mistakes. And I think it's really just more of the same for England. But I think it's key moments. It's going back to that Ashes series. It's that, England got a step ahead. Australia pulled them back. England have got to learn to break through that.
They do,
and take it to the next sort of level. So it's one of those defeats where I kind of, you saw it coming, didn't you? I think me and you spoke on WhatsApp the night before, and it was like people in the English media were going, well, England will chase anything. I think realistically, we looked at the pitch, we looked at Bumrah, we looked at who was left.
You don't do that.
We called about 260, so 270 all out, which in the end isn't, although it's 100 runs short, I don't think it was, anyone has reported this as some kind of massacre, has it?
No, over the course of both, you'd say that of the 2 tests, the second one was probably the one that England should have been winning. They had more chances to win it. It was kind of a freak innings by Hope that got them back into the first test. So it feels like 50-50 through the course of the cricket that's been played so far. I think England should feel like, they're well in this series. They're obviously, it's a bit of a depleted India side. Doesn't sound like Shami's coming back. I think Jadeja will be a while. There's not much on Rahul. So it's whether, again, this is a key test just to kind of get ahead again.
I do think that England's philosophy and England's style is somewhat, and someone raised this, I think it might have been Michael Everton saying something along the lines of, it's not just the way they play, it's how they make the opposition react. I see continuously, and this is not like arrogance of Englishmen here, but so many other, media outlets that are non-English have real problems with Bazball. Not just the style per se, more so the narrative in which the team discuss it. It's causing people are really struggling to come to terms with that, aren't they? They're almost seeing it as absurd arrogance or lunacy or pure delusion at times. Is that part of the plan? Is that part of the psyche of it all? Is it do McCullum and Stokes here? Let's get people talking about us. I mean, people are saying sometimes the best way in India to win is to get them tearing lumps out of each other, get them talking. Do you know what I mean?
I think ultimately, if you're taking Bashir, Hartley, and Ahmed over to India, barely any first-class matches under their belts, you've got to give them some confidence, haven't you? Because it can quickly go wrong, and if you have a oppressive regime who kind of run on the negative side and glass half empty rather than glass half full, you're probably going to get the results that you deserve from that. So I think it's probably the best approach with the players they've got.
By the way, I'm really impressed with Rehan Ahmed.
Yeah.
And I think there's for people to throw him in at number 3 and say, we've actually got almost a like for like coming in. There's humour in it, isn't there?
Yeah.
But, it's kind of at the same time, people again are seeing that as like bold arrogance because it's just out the ordinary. But I sort of got it when it happened. Did you? I wasn't looking at it going, "What are they doing here?" I was thinking, well, someone that can hold it back.
It's a bit of a pinch hitter role, isn't it? It's the modern day test.
United Watchman is no longer your worst batsman like it used to be in the 90s.
And I think if you're chasing a big score like that, Rehan goes in, comes back the next morning. If you can put on, no, he didn't, but if you can put on 40, 50, 60, you're really starting to play into the mind of the opposition in the chase.
It's really funny, because I know Indian commentators drive you insane.
Yeah.
And they're like that over enthusiasm of Peterson about playing aggressive shots. It just makes me miss because I can see him like Rehan Ahmed's playing the dying light in the last 4 overs. He's swinging, it's coming off like the toe end of the bat, running for like borderline buys. And Peterson's full on going, this is how they play, this is just the style and this is the approach. You've got someone like Gaviscar or Ravi Shastri next to him, absolutely spewing over about the shots. It's absolutely not.
And that is the benefit of this style of play, when it's going right, when it's really enjoyable. And
it's like he edges when he goes, no, this is all part of the plan, this is what's going through their mind. I find that really, really
fun. He is a very cocksure player, Rehan. He really suits the Bazball approach, doesn't he? I mean, at his age, he didn't have an easy first
rifles
match.
through overs, doesn't he?
Yeah.
His overs are finished in 2 minutes.
He didn't have an easy first match. He came back in this one, bowled a lot better than he did in the first test. He can obviously hold a bat. He is useful, and we'll talk about the next test after we've covered the SA20. But
the SA20. Yeah.
What do you reckon, Rob? What's your review?
I don't love franchise cricket. I know you really enjoy it.
I don't know where you come up with that.
But the SA20 is one of the more, how do I say? It's time zones. It's focus around a good solid domestic structure.
More palatable, isn't it?
It's much more palatable. I can actually have it on as background TV, which I have done since I've managed to convince to get Sky in the house I'm currently living in. But I mean, it's his second coming. Just some roll-on stats in case you've not followed it, because we are the breaking news for all things SA20. The Sunrisers Eastern Cape have won the consecutive second tournament. So that is the Hyderabad equivalent, isn't it?
Yes, Dawid Malan.
I think of Johnny Bairstow and David Warner. I think of this logo, and it's like I'm colourblind, so is it like a reddish sort of type?
Yeah.
Forgive me.
Yeah. So Dawid Malan's the English player for the Sunrisers in Cape Town. Is it Sunrisers Cape Town?
Eastern Cape, which is kind of like, going towards your wine regions. Right, okay. Really nice part of the world. Would recommend you do some time.
Yes.
But anyway, it seems to be a success as far as franchise tournaments go. And I think there's some key things why this is going to be successful compared to other tournaments you see when you look at the IL20 and the seats are empty. They've got private investor backing, which is the reason why you see all the identical names to IPL franchises, backed by serious people in India with serious cash and serious deep pockets for the case of cricket. South Africa have always had a strong domestic system. Although in recent years there's been loads of scrutiny around obviously the financial implications, the social economic state of the country. These guys have been playing cricket a long time. They were the third team to be granted test status. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm going to put my poker chips on that one. So in terms of an infrastructure and a history and a heritage in this sport, there are going to be local clubs that produce local players, which means there is a nice pool to pick from. The IL20, usually there's 8 or 9 players that are overseas internationals. The SA20. They all use the one, don't these? Confusions all over the place. But you can only have a certain number of overseas internationals. I think it's 2 or 3, maybe 4 at a push. So with that, you're always leaning on the kind of domestic talent there. So what you do find in franchise tournaments is that players will drift apart because they say, "Oh, sorry, I've got to go and play in Dubai. I've got to go and play in the IPL." Where when this happens, it's not in the world because your marquee pin-up boy here is Rabada. It's Klassen. It's Quinton de Kock. Do you know what I mean? So they're not here for the internationals, whereas the marketable kind of force behind the IL20 is the internationals that are on show.
How many matches did you watch?
I didn't watch any match full. No. I watched flickers of highlights because that's what for me, franchise cricket is it's consumed by Twitter clips or X clips, should I say, Instagram reels. I followed it from afar, and the kits are quite easy on the eye, aren't they?
Yeah,
they're well designed.
And how do you feel about obviously South Africa are playing a Test series against New Zealand right now?
Well, Graham Smith's not very happy about this, and he claims this will never happen again. He claims that South Africa wanted to partake in a competitive Test series with their best players, and they tried to make attempts to navigate it around the SA20. The reality of it is that the SA20 is pivotal into South Africa's financial willpower and their ability to keep players playing international cricket. So I think they've just used New Zealand, sadly, as a sacrificial lamb and said that we'll prioritise maybe Test series against England, Australia and India. Will be my bet from a commercial perspective. So it's landscapes of international cricket, isn't it? This is Graham Smith has been very open in the past to say we are welcoming the investment because it's absolutely necessary and required for us to compete. Yeah. You with me on that one? Are you disagreeing with much things?
No, I agree. I don't. I think does 11 players or 15 players out of your system, is that going to detract investors that much? I don't know. I don't quite.
What's in its favour? There's clearly an appetite for cricket in South Africa because the crowds have been fantastic. There's a kind of, I don't know whether it's the expat sort of Indian fans that are there. They're driving a bit of an IPL culture with see people in the crowds with drums and everyone's wearing replica
good
kits,
atmosphere.
etc.
Everyone's enjoying
South
it.
Africa's a pretty good place to watch cricket. In terms of its accessibility. It's got that club feel, but on a bigger stage. I mean, Cape Town, New Zealand's the place that I've been lucky enough to be in is one of the best places to watch cricket. It's fan friendly, so I feel like the product is more deliverable in a country like South Africa.
But the consequence is that you've got a D team playing New Zealand. Ratchin Ravindra just got 200 against them.
It looks to me like I mean, there've been pretty sorry states of the South African team that's gone over.
They've just
Danny's came on our podcast. He says you can't even call these guys the Proteas. You've got to call them. You've got to have another name. It's not. This is not representative of a South African national side. I think what South Africa. I mean, there's been more cries for distributing the wealth amongst the free wealthy countries, but I feel that the success of this tournament is going to leverage against the need to push out bilateral tournaments. Graham Smith is already hinting that around the time of the Champions Trophy, I think that the SA20 is going to be taking part next year, so there's going to be a bit of so you expect South Africa to come with some resistance there. I'm expecting bilateral.
That's not a bilateral tournament, is it? That's an international.
No. I think there's a warm up like Pakistan, 3 ODIs, something like that. So expect some more pressure to come on bilateral cricket as a result of this, but you can't really, from an English perspective, I don't think you can really knock this tournament where it is. You'd be wrong to say that this is, from a South Africa's perspective, not productive, not a step forward to where they've been in recent years, because they've had, if I'm right, this is the third attempt to run a successful T20 tournament. And it's looking like they've got it right here. With the support and the investment. Others in the past have struggled to get broadcasting rights, for instance. And reputable sponsors. But
what about if everyone acts like South Africa? I mean, don't have any international cricket.
That's the thing. There's all. We'll come on to it a bit in any other business, but there's an argument now that these tournaments are eating themselves up a bit.
So do this now, go on. Just do it now.
Well, Matt Roller from ESPN put a really good article, if you've read the stuff on there. But he's saying that we could get to a situation where...
Oh, we are. I think he says that we are.
We already are, and you've read this, where there'll actually be an incentive of your team not winning. I.e. the situation, if you get knocked out in the early stages of a franchise tournament, your agent can be on the phone and say, hello, Sam Curran. I know you've just been knocked out of the SA20 first round. Bad luck. By the way, someone in Dubai will pay you this much to pay in this tournament.
So the integrity
will be affected. Which it kind of is. Do I dare say it's some kind of silver lining for international cricket? The monster's eating itself, consuming itself almost. All the problems you've got, you might say, well, how do you stop other countries behaving like this? Because of the sheer competition now, and let's just call this tournament a success. It's a second coming of an IPL. That's putting constraints and pressure on the PSL. The PSL is now, well, international boards are first and foremost blocking entry for players to play in this. So Hasaranga's not going from Sri Lanka. Topley's not going from England.
Right.
We're saying, well, actually, if he's going to play, forgive me, Topley, this might be a poor example, but if he's playing this tour, we need to manage their workload because we've got a.
Why is the PSL get? Is that because IPL investors are getting their arms around?
Well, I don't want to get political on this, but it could be the argument that boards prioritise players who will want to play in the more successful tournaments. So right now, IPL's top of the heap.
PSL, I would argue, has been second until recently.
Dare I say it? For the financial rewards that will probably exceed the PSL, and I won't be from the SA20.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Not like for like, but also, again, some other factors that might come into it. You get a lot of those. I've got to be careful how I say this, but South African-born English players.
Yeah.
It's more of a home comfort to them, isn't it, to perhaps play in this league alongside their international duties, etc. like that. I feel there's a lot of pull from England and Australia to play in South Africa, more so than the subcontinent. It's probably more, from a lifestyle perspective, more relatable.
Yeah.
Could you argue?
Yeah. So you're saying that the IPL, the SA20, and the PSL are probably the big three at the moment that are pulling, and
until something else comes along. England, what they spoke about in the 100, I know that the 100s, is it sort of the CPL, the Caribbean League, there's clashing there already, isn't there? But, and the USA, the Major League.
There is talk of 100 investment.
Exactly. I'm thinking of more teams in London.
Yes, a third team in London.
I saw things, and you might agree with this, but would it not be a good opportunity to get a Scottish team, an Edinburgh team, or an Irish team?
Yeah, I'd agree. And
connect those what do you call them in terms of
home nations
all together, like a Six Nations kind of tournament coming through. I think that's an opportunity. Maybe they've looked at it, maybe not. I don't know. Yeah,
and I suppose you could also argue, or many English cricket fans would argue that your south-west team, there isn't a south-west 100 team at the moment, that will be covering Gloucestershire and Somerset and obviously big cricketing areas. Should probably be looking there. It feels like private investment for the 100 is coming.
Maybe it's already arranged.
Yeah. And then we'll see how that starts to shake up. Where the England Test, Could you imagine?
You're looking forward to watching the New Delhi Originals?
Yeah. Could you imagine a summer where England are playing West Indies and Sri Lanka and the 100 is prioritised?
It's me and you, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Watching Shamal Joseph.
Shamal Joseph, who, by the way, for all his admirable sort of comments, is now partaking in the IPL.
Yeah,
it's inevitable, isn't it, I think. But what was encouraging? Did you see that the West Indies had made a significant step forward in securing almost like a private centralised contract to protect the time and usage of Shamal Joseph? So that's just a big statement from them. It's taking an investment on someone who they believe will be the next spearhead of their cricket system. And it's probably like England coming for Joe Root, isn't it?
Yeah, and I suppose in all seriousness as well.
Or Jofra Archer, perhaps.
Yeah, Shamal Joseph going to the IPL. The IPL has its own window. There's no international cricket at that point. So of all of the franchise leagues that you can probably justify going to if you're a player who says that they care about the international game, the IPL is probably the one. So, yeah. Anything else on your AOB?
Yeah, a couple of things. Durham are lining up a £27 million investment. This is going to be for a 154-bedroom hotel and increased capacity, set to create 120 jobs. I mean,
you'd probably be thinking more. That'd be more pivoted to the.
Well, do you remember when I used to say that evolve or die saying?
Yeah.
The investment that Old Trafford, Surrey, who else has had significant? Edgbaston has built a huge stand. Hampshire. It has bred that kind of prosperousness for them, hasn't it? It has led to more things. Southampton have now got an Ashes Test.
Yeah. Investors are sniffing around.
Investors. Emirates have put money into Old Trafford.
Yeah.
As a result of that, the county fortunes have changed. They get more concerts, don't they? So the revenue streams. I think this is just the classic counties need to diversify. And you know what? We all cry about there not being an Ashes Test in the north. Headingley seems to have cemented itself, although it's not got one next. But in terms of a quality venue, it's got the tick there. Old Trafford needs to sort its weather out.
Yeah.
So Durham's probably thinking, we could be the next cab off the ranks there.
Yeah, and I suppose if you look at that, that kind of news statement there, 120 jobs. I know it's a bit of a boring way to look at it, but bringing things to the community, that's what a cricket club's supposed to do. So yeah, fair play, Durham.
Yeah. Aussie men's win the under-19 World Cup. I mean,
again,
did you guess? I could have probably guessed that was going to happen. If you come back and it's like Canada have won this, then your eyebrows raised, don't you? But for me, the best cricket systems will win these tournaments, won't they? At early stage.
Beat India in a final.
Certainly, a couple of names already been sort of cited by Ricky Ponting to fast track into Test cricket. I think it's something the Aussies need to look at.
On the Aussie side or the India side?
Aussie side. Right. I think it's something they need to look at because my biggest criticism of the Aussies over the years is that there's not been this blooded in the young kids. Yeah. They've had a few attempts, and I know they've had some challenge with Pavlovsky and certain issues there, and Cam Green and his workload, and recent, obviously, realisation of certain conditions that might prevent him playing more cricket. We don't know. But I think it's something that they're going to probably look at. And don't be surprised to see some of those names being blooded into the system. Certainly we've had obviously Warner's retirement, and he said that's it now, done.
In the T20 stuff, in that.
Yeah. I think there could be a couple more on the horizon. Khawaja, Smith.
Particularly after the next Ashes, you'd think would be a big mass exodus. So
that really leaves the next test to finish up on. What are you thinking?
So what's your side? There's
Rajkot.
Yeah. There's talk that Rehan might be struggling with his visa. Hopefully he gets through.
Yeah, I believe this is a cock up on our behalf.
Yes, I think it is. Would you be tempted with two?
I don't feel his pain. I feel his pain because I was on the app the other day trying to grab my visa.
Yeah.
It was one of those, those annoying things where when you're trying to fill out something online and it says you've not filled it out correctly, and for the life of you can't work out what it is. Yeah. It's one of those ill-designed kind of apps that's done for it. So I'm not saying this is the issue that Rehan's encountering, but it's. Have
you done your visa? Is it
between me and my 60-odd-year-old father? It was quite a complex 10-15 minutes we have. I'm pending. So I could be I could also be out for the third test.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Would you go with two seamers? Would you be tempted to play Anderson and Wood? Anderson and Robinson?
Wood's fitness has been a question mark I've read as well.
Right, okay.
So Robinson could come into play.
Leach is out.
Will Leach play for England again? Begs the question. Really struggled, been unfortunate with injuries. I think I'd stick to the same sort of balance we've had with pace and spin. Yeah. I don't think it's been necessarily the downfall of England.
So you'd be keeping the same side then?
They're taking wickets, aren't they? I mean, if Rehan Abid can't play, what we're looking at as an alternative there?
It'd be Robinson or.
They'd have to be forced into that kind of change, which won't be the end of the world.
A bit of batting.
Yeah, Root's going to obviously bowl.
Could potentially bring Lawrence in as a bowler, but. You would be really chancing it then, probably.
Yeah. India side, no KL Rahul. I think he's still his injuries reoccurred, hasn't it? Kohli has ruled himself out of the series. So this really is a bit of a, there's
a chance, isn't it?
Well, you don't know how both teams are going to rock up this test, which I think makes it more enthralling and more exciting to look at.
I do think with this Indian batting lineup that they do give you wickets. It's not the most ruthless 1 to 7. Particularly when we've had Axar at 5 and 6 at times. I would just be thinking that England need to,
it's amazing. You take a couple of batsmen out, it can really confuse your order a little bit, can't it?
Yeah, it can.
We've been victim of this. I'm enjoying watching folks play.
Yeah.
I think his keeping's been brilliant. Our batting is encouraging. There's nothing that takes me into this test thinking, I'm dreading this or I'm worried about this. I think England should be still walking into this going, this is the best position we've been in for some years, despite them following the same pattern the last tour. It feels a lot different to that tour, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Because the second test was pretty comical, if I remember.
Yeah.
It was when Axar Patel rocked up and we get bowled out for something like 60.
Yeah. And, Axar could still do that. Ashwin's still there. The no mugs, Bumrah's there. But I think if you're being harsh on England, you've got to say, this is the best opportunity any of the kind of top test playing nations have had. Australia didn't have it this good last year when they were over in India. They put up a good show. We've got to be asking ourselves, can we put up a good show, really?
Yeah.
What's your prediction then? Who's scoring the most runs for England? Who's taking most wickets?
I fancy Root to have a score this test.
Yeah.
I really do. I fancy Duckett to convert this time
I'd like
round.
to see some Duckett runs.
The promise is there. I fancy us to take wickets. I think the big challenge will be, do we see as Jaiwell announce himself on announce himself on the stage?
Yes.
Obviously Shubman Gill
Yeah.
as well. So they are, despite their injuries, new people are taking over the baton, aren't they?
Yeah.
So it's just something to be wary of, I think.
Some big milestones this test.
Jimmy for 700.
Ashwin needs one for 500.
It's funny because we say these as big monuments, but it's realistically, can you see anybody ever doing this again?
No.
Exactly.
No.
So
particularly Anderson.
They're more ceremonial, if anything, aren't they?
Yeah. Anderson needs 5 to get 700, and then that would leave him with 9 in the English summer, or 9 with the remainder of this series in the English summer to go past 1. Wouldn't be too bad.
Absolutely. Well, we look forward to it. We're going to try and squeeze in maybe a live show before I go to India, when we'll be able to give you the closest coverage we've ever had to an overseas tournament.
You've got many irons in the fire with that, haven't you?
We have, yeah.
Some dreams.
So I'm hoping to enlighten you and catch up with you and teach you all things India. For sure.
Brilliant.
Thanks for joining us this evening. Enjoy the third test, and we'll catch you soon.
Cheers.